Hello and welcome to DSEJ Teleclasses. I'm Darshan and today we are going to discuss a play from your English textbook. The title of the play is A Basketful of Sea Trout and it's been written by Neil Grant. Let's get started. Now, do you know what a sea trout is? Or what a trout is? A trout is a kind of fish used as food. A sea trout is a kind of trout that is found in the sea. Okay, now let's have a look at how a sea trout looks like. See, this is how a sea trout looks like. This is the real picture of a sea trout. Now you have an idea what a sea trout is. Let's get started with the play. Now let's look at the setting of this play. So the setting of the play is a shooting and fishing lodge. This lodge is situated in a very lonely valley in West Highlands. The mountainous region of Scotland is called the Highlands. And in the western part of those highlands, we have this lonely valley where this place is situated, this shooting and fishing lodge. Right? This is the setting of the play. So at the very beginning of the play, we know that the play, all the action of the play is happening at a place which is very lonely. Now, who are the characters of the play? There will be certain characters who you will see on the stage. They are called the main characters that you will actually see. But there are some people in the play who will only be mentioned by other characters. Right? So let's look at the main characters or the characters who actually appear on stage. Number one is Lord Findhorn. Now, who is Lord Findhorn? Lord Findhorn is a Scottish judge, and as we know, the play is taking place in Scotland. We have characters who are Scottish, from Scotland only. So Lord Findhorn is a Scottish judge. Then we have William Brodie. Now William Brodie is Lord Findhorn's friend and his guest who is visiting him in this lonely lodge, shooting and fishing lodge where the action is taking place. So he's a guest of Lord Findhorn and his friend, and he's a Scottish landlord. Then another character, and one of the main characters again, is Jean Lomond. Now Jean Lomond is a peasant woman. And then we have Colonel Allardyce. Now who is Colonel Allardyce? He is the chief constable in the region. He is a policeman, and he, looks after law and order in the area. These are the four main characters that we will actually see on the stage. And then we will also have a mention of a few people, and those people are, one of them and the most important ones is Nellie Salter, a bad woman, an evil woman who is always out there to do evil as per Mrs. Lomond, as per Jean Lomond. Then we have Hector Lomond, Jean Lomond's son, right? Okay, so these are the main characters in the play. Let's move ahead and now let's look at the scene. As we discussed that all the activity happens in that lodge, that shooting and fishing lodge, which is situated at a very lonely place. So the scene has been created in such a way that it sounds eerie, it sounds scary. There is an effort by the writer to make the scene a little scary to start with. So how does he do that, and how does the scene look like? So when the curtain rises, or what does the scene look like? The scene of the play is the hall of a small shooting and fishing lodge. As we mentioned earlier, it's a small shooting and fishing lodge which is situated at a very lonely place in West Highlands. And this lodge, this shooting and fishing lodge, is the property of Lord Findhorn. As I said, people have vacation homes, so he has this shooting and fishing lodge. He often comes here when he has some break from his regular work of a judge. He comes here and he goes fishing, he goes shooting, hunting. And it's his property, and it's situated in a lonely valley in the Western Highlands. It's sparsely furnished. There isn't much furniture in that lodge where the activity is taking place, where this scene is happening. The atmosphere is one of loneliness bordering on the eerie. Now, what kind of atmosphere is there? Eerie atmosphere, bordering, loneliness on the border of horror. How the writers achieve what they want to. And our writer here in this play, Neil Grant, wants to create an atmosphere of eerie at the very outset of the play, at the very beginning, at the very start of the play. How does he do that? How does he achieve that eerie atmosphere at the start of the play? So there are certain tools and techniques that he uses. The first one is the wind. So when we read these lines, with the opening lines of the play, we see that the wind is moaning. Does it moan or does it blow gently? Because if the wind blows gently, there won't be any, feeling of that horror or that eerie feeling won't be there. So the wind is moaning, is making a sound, making a fearsome sound, that moaning as if somebody is crying with pain. And what about the lodge? Where is it situated? Is it in the heart of a village or is it isolated? Now, if a lodge is situated in a town or in a village, it won't look scary. The eerie atmosphere won't be created. So it is, of course, situated situated at an isolated place. It is isolated. Servants, are there any servants that live in the lodge? No, there aren't any. So again, that feeling of loneliness is being created. Then is the glen, the valley where this lodge is situated, is that valley silent or full of strange sounds? So the judge admits to his friend that he often hears strange sounds during the night from the valley where the house is situated. Time of the day. Again, another tool to create horror is the time of the day. Does the action take place at twilight or when there is pitch darkness outside? Now, when does the action take place? It takes place when there is pitch dark outside, when it's very dark during the night time. So these are the certain tools which have been employed by the writer to create an eerie, a scary atmosphere. So we can expect this play to be a little scary, a little mysterious. This is how we are expecting this. Let's move forward and look at the plot of this play. Now, plot is basically the summary of main events that happen in the play. When you read a play, you will notice that there are dialogues in a play and then there are stage directions. So a play constitutes mainly of dialogues. There is no narrative. There is nobody who tells the whole story as such. There are dialogues, characters interact with each other, and then there are certain stage directions to show whether when a person is speaking something, is he angry or is he annoyed or is he making any hand movements or is he standing when he talks or is he walking? Those are called stage directions given within the brackets, and the others are dialogues. But here, what you are looking at your screen is just the plot of the play, just the main important incidents that happen in the play that move the story forward. There aren't any dialogues. Just the outline, structure, the plot, the story of the play, that's it. There is a stormy night. Where the action is taking place? In that lodge where Lord Findhorn is present with his friend, with his landlord friend, William Brodie. And that's night time. The wind is moaning outside. It's blowing with that whistling sound, and they are kind of discussing the weather outside and trying to keep themselves calm, because that's a lonely place and there are two of them in that lodge. And what happens during that time? During that stormy night, Jean Lomond visits Lord Findhorn, the judge who acquitted her son Hector from a murder charge. She enters the hall mysteriously and leaves so. So her entry is very mysterious. But what is so mysterious about a woman coming and leaving? The first thing is that she enters mysteriously. They don't even know how she entered the lodge. And the second thing is, when she left, they didn't know how she left. Okay, now what happens during her visit? Why did she visit the judge in that lonely lodge during that stormy night when there is pitch dark outside? Why? What is the purpose of her visit? During the visit, she tells Lord Findhorn that she has brought a basketful of sea trout for him to thank him for saving her son. Now, sea trout, as we learn later in the play, is very difficult to catch, especially in that stormy weather. Now, what else she tells the judge? She also tells the judge and his friend, of course, that Nellie Salter, the woman who was murdered, was a bad woman. Now we know that Hector was accused of a murder of somebody, and that somebody was Nellie Salter. And Nellie Salter was murdered, and Hector Lomond was charged for his murder, but he wasn't found guilty in the court, so he was acquitted. Now, that Nellie Salter was a bad woman, and she rejoiced in evil, and many men like her son Hector were ruined by her. This is what Jean Lomond tells the judge during her visit on that stormy night. What else does she tell him? Jean Lomond describes Nellie Salter's activities and the road she took as she went to meet somebody on the day she was murdered. There is some very important information that she gives the judge about Nellie Salter's movements on the day she was murdered. Because during the trial in the court, it was found that nobody knew after a certain point which road did Nellie Salter take in order to reach the place where she was actually murdered. Nobody knew that, and nobody gave any evidence that they saw Nellie Salter take any particular road on that day. But Jean Lomond tells the judge that she knows what road Nellie took that day. And when she says that, the judge is is kind of surprised, because how could she know that she was how could she know what road Nellie Salter took on that day? So that makes the judge suspicious about Mrs. Lomond's involvement in Nellie's murder. Maybe it was she and not her son who murdered Nellie Salter, because she is now telling about the movements and activities of Nellie Salter on that particular day, where nobody was found, no witness was found about what happened to Nellie Salter and who murdered, and that is the reason her son was acquitted. So that makes the judge suspicious, right? Now what happens? Now, while the judge tells Mrs. Lomond to wait in the adjoining room, he comes to know from Colonel Allardyce, who investigated Nellie's murder case, that Jean Lomond has committed suicide and her dead body has been found. See, now this is the turning point. Now, Colonel Allardyce is the chief constable, is the policeman who was looking into Nellie Salter's murder case, who was investigating her murder case. And of course, he couldn't prove who had murdered Nellie, and that's why Hector Lomond was acquitted. Now he visits this place where all this drama is happening. Lord Findhorn, his friend William Brodie, a stormy night, Mrs. Lomond's mysterious visit, and her telling about Nellie Salter's movements on the day she was murdered, and then the judge telling her to wait in the adjoining room. Right? And while she waits there and they keep the door closed, Colonel Allardyce comes there. And he receives a phone call from one of his juniors that they have found a dead body from the seashore, washed away by the waves to the shore. And that is Mrs. Jean Lomond's dead body, who is waiting in the adjoining room. So when Colonel Allardyce tells Lord Findhorn that Jean Lomond has committed suicide by drowning herself in the sea, and that her dead body has been found, and that he has just received that information on the telephone, the judge can't believe it. Because he knows Jean Lomond is waiting in the adjoining room. He knows her personally. He had seen her during the trial, during the case. So he knows her personally, and he has just asked her to wait in the adjoining room, in the study room. So he can't believe when he hears that Jean Lomond committed suicide a day earlier. Now the mystery part happens. So if Jean Lomond is dead, who is the woman waiting in the adjoining room? Who is that woman? Is that a ghost? Is that Jean Lomond's spirit? And another interesting thing here is that she has more or less confessed having committed the crime, because she has told about Nellie Salter's movements, which gives a hint to the judge that she might actually have murdered her, and that she might actually have been present at the place where Nellie Salter was murdered. And then they receive some information that they have also discovered a suicide note left by Mrs. Jean Lomond. And she has confessed, she has admitted in that suicide note that she actually killed Nellie Salter. And this is almost what the Jean Lomond who was visiting Lord Findhorn and who was supposed to be waiting in the adjoining room had also confessed. Now there is suspense. They can open the door to see who was waiting there, but there is nobody to be found. Now the three of them are discussing this strange phenomenon that has just happened. Now they are a little scared, all three of them. And the judge can't believe it, because he is not the kind of person who believes in ghosts and spirits and this kind of things, And now there is a final thing, the final testimony to the fact that Jean Lomond's spirit did pay a visit there on that stormy night. And what is that final testimony? What is that final evidence? As Colonel Allardyce is about to leave them on that stormy night, and he is a little, because what has happened there has also had its impact on his nerves. So he's feeling a little nervous. There is pitch dark outside. He flashes his light. He has got the torch in his hands. And as he comes out of the room, and the two men there, William Brodie and the judge, they are standing on the door and just seeing him off. As soon as he comes out, he kind of exclaims with horror. He's so terrified as he sees something in front of him. What is that he sees in front of him that makes him exclaim, "Oh God!" And the other two men who are kind of waiting at the door, and they say, "What did you see? Is there anybody there?" He says, "No, but look under the arch." He's so terrified that he can hardly speak. Look, there under the arch. What is there? What is that proof that Jean Lomond did pay a visit there? What is that? And what was lying there was a basket full of sea trout. Oh my God. That means Jean Lomond's ghost was actually there, and she actually brought a basket full of sea trout. And then the curtain falls. This is how the play ends. All right, so that was some scary play. Every time I read this play, I really feel that thrill. Every time you read this play, you will feel that thrill. That, that scary feeling you will have, and you will enjoy it again and again. So read it and have fun. And now, after having read this whole play, we can imagine where the title has been taken from. Because the biggest evidence of Jean Lomond's visit there, had that basket full of sea trout not been found there, they could have imagined that we were kind of seeing things, or that was just an illusion, or we were kind of maybe just discussing Jean Lomond, and then we just felt that we saw her, and we forget. Our brain, our mind plays lots of tricks on us. We don't even know whether that was a dream or a fact. And especially because they were drinking wine, and they could have kind of blamed it on alcohol, had that basketful not been found under that arch. So that is the biggest evidence, and that is why the play is titled A Basket Full of Sea Trout. And now we have certain questions, or I call them reflections, because after reading a play or any story or any poem, we have certain questions that naturally arise in our mind. There can be certain factual questions based on certain facts, and some others which are based on our opinions about something, what we think about those things. Now, look at this question. Nellie Salter rejoiced in evil. How does Mrs. Lomond describe Nellie's character? If so, why? And this kind of questions can also be asked in your exams, where you have to write the answers to these. But before that, you have to think about them, and give evidences from the text itself in support of your answer. So, how does Mrs. Lomond describe Nellie's character? These are her words. She rejoiced in evil. She was a bad woman. This is what she said. She ruined men. She was out there to ruin them. These were her words to describe Nellie's character. And she said that because her own son, Hector, was also involved with Nellie Salter, and he was the one who had also been kind of trapped by Nellie Salter. That's why she describes her as a bad woman, the one who rejoiced in evil. The next question is, I have lost my son. Why did Mrs. Lomond make this statement? We know from Mrs. Lomond's spirit or ghost, whatever it was, that her son had gone abroad, had left her forever, and that happened because of Nellie Salter, who was killed, and she was apprehensive that her son might be arrested again by police, and so she had to send him away from her to a different country, right? And this is how they got separated, and this is how she lost her son, and this is why she makes this statement. But there was another reason, because we know that when Jean Lomond's spirit is talking, is saying these things, she actually has also committed suicide at that time. So that way also, because she is not in this world and she won't be able to kind of see her son again, she makes this statement. I think this is the reason. Now, the judge did not believe that Hector was tracking Nellie. Why? Now he has this evidence. Because it was Jean Lomond who knew about Nellie Salter's movements or activities while she was going to meet that airman, and it wasn't Hector who knew about all these things, because Jean Lomond herself told the judge that about her movements that day. So that's why the judge is convinced. That's why he did not believe that Hector was actually tracking Nellie. It was Mrs. Lomond who was tracking Nellie on that day. Now, this is one of the most important questions from your examination point of view as well. Why do you think Mrs. Lomond committed suicide? Now, why do you think? Everybody can have a different reason what they think why she committed suicide, what they think about that. Now, if you ask me what I think why Mrs. Lomond committed suicide, I think the reason is that she was apprehensive that her son might be arrested again in the false charge of Nellie Salter's murder, because it was Jean Lomond who had murdered Nellie for being a bad woman, for trapping her son and for ruining his life. She murdered Nellie Salter. But when she saw that her son was accused of that murder, and although he was acquitted, she was apprehensive that he might be arrested again for the same murder. So she committed suicide and wrote a letter of confession that would clear her son from that murder charge, and then the police would know that it was Jean Lomond who murdered Nellie Salter. So in order to kind of clear her son from the charge of Nellie Salter's murder, she committed suicide, and before that she left a suicide note where she confessed her guilt of having murdered Nellie Salter. Okay, so that's it. That was your play. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson. I will be back with another lesson. Till then, goodbye.